AI just killed webinars, and this is the place where you get to hear about it. What's up, FlowChat fam? Chris here, CEO, co-founder of flowchat.com, the software that helps you sell more of your product and service. Today, we're talking to a real entrepreneur that has absolutely got real results. He's notoriously known as the webinar king, the guy that has done well over $250 million in sales with webinars alone. Think of any famous marketer. Yes, they've talked to him and implemented his frameworks, but it's not just him helping others. He's done this for himself, including having almost a $60 million webinar. Can you imagine? Well, today you don't have to. Please meet Jason. How's it going, Jason?
It's going fantastic. Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, man. Just before we get into the conversation, it's basically punching us in the face right now. It's this giant red hat that says "Use Brain." Can we start there?
Yeah, it's my philosophy is that making millions and millions of dollars is about not doing stupid stuff more than it is about being a genius. So people think you have to be amazing and intelligent and crafty in order to be successful in life. You just have to stop running into brick walls. That's pretty much the premise. So if we use a little bit of our brain and we get past some of the limitations that the brain has that stops us, then we can be very successful even if we're otherwise very basic.
I love the inspiring message. Don't be an idiot, and you will go far.
That's right.
It's fantastic. Where's some of the inspiration where that came from?
So my wife, she's Romanian. English is her fourth language, believe it or not. And so she would say to the kids when they would do something silly, like wear their shirts inside out in the morning, she'd say, use brain, like use brain. And I'm like, man, that's such a cool thing. And so we would, every time we would do something silly, like I got a really funny one for you. Our youngest, she takes her supplements, her AM and her PM supplements
Okay.
that we had laid out for her. She took her PM supplements today instead of her AM. So she has like a sleep supplement that she takes. So she's just went to school today. I think she's not going to be able to stay awake for the whole day at school. So it's like
Yes.
using brain is not switching your PM supplements with your AM supplements. But on the positive side, we now start to use it for encouragement too, Chris, where it's like you use brain, like ding, ding, ding. So
This
yeah, that's
this
the
is
whole
the
premise.
That's amazing, man. I appreciate you sharing and having those fun phrases around the house. It's true. It's like, listen, I'm a golfer. I played golf for 10 years. The people that win are the people that make the least amount of mistakes. Like they just don't do the stupid things. Like do the fundamentals essentially. All right, we get
Yeah.
to talk about AI webinars. We get to talk about brand. Let's just start with AI killing webinars. Like this is copywriting. People are relying on it more and more. Like, is this just going to destroy the quality of webinars? What are you seeing on your side?
It's going to destroy the old approach to webinars in all of the best ways. So, what got you there won't get you here, but this
Mm.
is every business that's ever existed. Like the email destroyed the fax machine, and the typewriter destroyed paper and pen, right? So, the technology has evolved, and if you don't evolve with it, then you will not exist in this business in a very short order. So it has killed the webinar as we know it from the old model. The principles and the fundamentals still apply, but the new ways in which we can create, develop, and deploy webinars for profit, they're super exciting. And the upside to them, if you do them right, is greater than it's ever been.
Amazing. So the rebirth of webinar is among us. And how are you currently approaching this?
Yeah, I am. First of all, I just have a long list of clients who pay me $5,000 an hour to help them figure this out.
So maybe
So,
maybe we can go with a little Costco sampler today. And
yeah, I mean, my problem is, my kids don't have the shoes because I'm too busy putting shoes on other kids' feet, right? So,
yeah.
I wish I could focus more on my own webinars because I would be happier, but I'm a servant at the end of the day. I aim to
Mm.
please, and the pay isn't half bad either. So I've been working with my clients to help them implement webinars more viciously and effectively than at any given time. But the demand is higher than ever because those that are seeing the old models of webinars not work as well or they're working well, but they're not getting as much out as they can versus what I'm teaching clients right now is night and day.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the mistakes that people are making with webinars is they're putting too much emphasis on information. But let's just
Mm.
look at how things have changed related to information just in the last 12 months. Did you know that 60% of Google searches now end without a single click?
I did not know this.
So somebody does a search and they get an AI summary or what they call an AI overview, and then they leave. Like
Mm.
they don't go to a website, they don't go watch the YouTube video, they don't go and listen to the podcast as much anymore because they have the ability to get an answer in Google without even clicking on a link
This
anymore.
is 60% of traffic, you said.
About 60% of Google searches in without a single click.
Majority of traffic, above 50%. This is crazy. This is a big trend shift.
Yeah, we call this a disruption. And by the way, Google is disrupting itself because if it doesn't, it will be disrupted, which is a lesson to all of us. But one of the reasons Google is disrupting itself is because AI, the number one use for AI, is to use it as a search engine, which is hilarious. That's like using your Ferrari's trunk as a storage unit and never driving the damn thing, right?
I would agree. Where are some areas like okay, like if you're talking to that person that just heard what you said, they're like, oh shoot,
Yeah,
I'm using it as the search engine.
it's okay.
Like what's the one or two things you would say? Okay, like here's how you can move away from the Ferrari trunk and like maybe push the gas pedal or go to some more of the exciting parts of AI.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into those.
Cool.
But like before we even get there,
Okay.
it's if your consumers are being more easily satiated with fast food information, we'll call it. Like I
Mhm.
don't have to read it anymore. AI tells me how to think. It tells me what the answer is.
Yeah.
The need and desire and the itch to be scratched with information alone has decreased significantly. And so a lot of webinars that were predominantly information heavy in the past, they're not seeing the same types of response rates today
Mm.
as they used to,
Okay.
which is fantastic for me because I've known for many years that information dominant style webinars are but one of many shades and varieties of webinars that one should have in the toolkit in which that they should play with. So because we know that information is being more democratized than ever, it's being served up with least effort required than ever before. How
Okay.
does that change the game and how can we benefit from it? Those are the questions that we should be asking if we're thinking about how do we use webinars. So there's two answers to that. The first one is we should play in environments where information is still scarce as much as possible. And there's a lot of those. They're
Okay.
not the obvious ones that they used to be. And maybe in the past you solved them accidentally and didn't know it, but now we have to be more intentional. How do we play in environments where information is still scarce and an
Mm.
AI summary or a chat GPT answer isn't going to cut it for you? This means we need to niche down and be more narrow and more specific with the types of webinars that we're creating now. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing too is how do we make webinars that don't require so much of an emphasis on information? Like what kind of webinars could we create instead and who would be attracted to attend such webinars? And this is what we're doing these days, and it's really exciting.
For the person watching this and saying, okay, so find, underserved markets, great fundamental to implement, looking for niches. What if they're just sitting there thinking like, yeah, I just don't think my buyers watch webinars anymore. I don't think that's how they buy. What would you say to them?
I would be sorry for you that you are in a market where informed consumers are not part of your customer avatar.
Say more.
So it's like if you look at every market, the breakdown is about 7% of the market spends 70% of its money. And what you do is if you overlay webinar attendees with that 7%, there's a huge overlap. So there are two types of people that will attend webinars. People that are completely hopeless, clueless, desperate, and are looking for an answer and will do anything they can in order to get it. And those are great buyers, by the way. If you can serve them and actually help them, you're helping the people that need the help the most. And they're the ones that are most likely to pay. But the other types of people who attend webinars are the ones that practice the principle of the slight edge. They'll read 100
Mm.
books just to get one of those 100 books to give them one answer on one page, and they will consider that a good trade-off because they know if they can just get a small percentage better in this area or that area, then their life will be significantly better. And those are the 7% of buyers who spend 70% of the money, and we should cater to them. And so if your people would be more likely to pay you money and pay you more money if they had a better understanding of who you are, what you do, and how you can serve, then the webinar is going to be the single best scale tool in your toolkit that you could possibly use in 2026 and for the foreseeable future.
Amazing, man. Is there any particular markets that you would like not recommend a webinar to?
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't, if you're in a commodity-based market where the average purchase size is really low, and you make it up in mass volume, then you wouldn't want to use a webinar in those scenarios. And there are certain instances where things just have to be done in person or they have to be managed one-to-one, and a webinar wouldn't make sense for those. So there are certainly markets where if I'm going to sell, Campbell's soup, I'm not going to sell that on a webinar. We're going to force distribution instead and take advantage of that. But I might sell investors on a webinar that could invest in my soup, and that would make sense. So I think that for most people in most businesses, it's going to be hard to beat a webinar even if you don't do it live, you can just record it. Because my thing that I always tell the people is if we had to find the best 60 minutes of who you are in your brand, what is your I have a dream speech, right? Where is that? Is it online? Can I
Mm,
watch it?
mm,
Oh, I can't? Don't you think that that would be useful? Especially because it doesn't cost anything to put a webinar on the internet anymore. Google Slides are free. YouTube is free, right? Like the cost is just your time and thinking and your purposefulness in which you're going to communicate to your market. If you wrote a webinar and threw it in the trash, you would make more money because it would bring more intentionality into who you are and how you operate and who you interact with and who you serve.
mm. So simply the mindfulness exercise of putting together a well-crafted webinar would position you in a better place of how you show up in whatever content or sales calls that you're support that you're doing is what you're suggesting.
100%. And of course, if you have this really cool webinar, you should put it in front of people. It
Oh,
would only help. It could never
yeah,
hurt.
on the way to the trash, maybe just not put it there. And let's go ahead and publish that. And okay, this is awesome, man. I appreciate it. Price range. What's a good price range to be pitching on webinars these days?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So you want to look at what the upper limit of the market can bear. Different markets have different price ceilings. And then you want to sort it into two categories. Category one is if we're going direct to cart. So if on the webinar you pitch a product where somebody could fill out a form and pay you money, that's called direct to cart. So we want to see what is the upper threshold of what the market can bear at a direct to cart before they have to talk to a human being. And we
Okay.
would want to start there. I like to start at high price ceilings and then see if I can break through them. Sometimes I can, usually I can't, but I would rather aim to add more value at a higher price than to decrease value and sell at a lower price. I don't think that serves the market very effectively. And if we're going book a call instead, which a lot of people are doing, it's not a model I particularly enjoy personally, but 90% of the clients that I advise that pay me my consulting rate, they go book a call.
Mm,
Then we can de-link that price ceiling even further. It's like, what can we sell that people would still feel would be an incredible deal, and we can give them as much value as humanly possible because we only have to sell the phone call in those webinars instead. But you don't want to go too low because then the attrition will actually be a net negative for you because
mm,
somebody has to see the webinar, register for the webinar, show up for the webinar, and stay until the pitch is revealed. And so in certain instances, like if you're selling low ticket ebooks, it's easier to sell that off a written sales letter. You will not see a net increase on the buyers. You will have a higher conversion rate, but there will be attrition along the way because there are steps that need to be taken to get to the pitch on a webinar that a direct ad wouldn't have to take.
amazing, man. So I'm taking notes as you're saying this, and you don't like the call just because you just don't want to do the calls, or have the team that does the calls, or is there another reason?
Uh, Three major reasons. Number one is I'm really good at direct to cart.
You're like, let's play that game. Okay.
I have a skill that is the
I have a
best in the
particular set of
world.
skills, and
Yes, I have a particular set of skills. And so a lot of people will use a phone room to make up for the deficiencies in selling, which is fine, right?
uh,
Like some of those guys have made a lot of money because they didn't become a master at
yeah.
one media. they become competent at enough things and they built a system that scales, right? So I'm not saying I'm opposed to sales rooms. I'm just saying personally, I'm really good at direct to cart. That's the first thing. Two, I'm really bad at managing teams. That's the second thing. And then the third
Okay.
thing is I think for the longevity of most brands, if you can get them on the phone and you can get them to spend a lot of money, it doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Mm, mm,
So what happens when you get on the phone, you can convince people to spend money on things that they should buy.
I
And
see.
from a branding perspective, I don't think it's valuable to the brand. So I like to have a brand that will grow over time. And if I have to rely on these phone sales in order to justify the aggressive ad budget that we're spending to acquire customers, that just puts me in a situation where things can go wrong that I want to minimize.
Let,
Some
let
people can manage that, and I don't even want to have the idea of thinking about managing it personally.
let's hang here just for a second if it's okay,
Yeah,
because you're hitting on something that people think about, and even from your brand perspective, like you're the guy that has sold hundreds of millions of dollars through webinars or direct to card, as you're saying specifically. Okay,
yeah,
is this guy just like morally, ethically, like how many people has bought? Maybe they're not the right fit, or maybe they're
yeah.
thinking some of these things. How do you manage this?
So it's a great question, right? So I feel like if a person is making a decision on their own from a webinar presentation that they've seen, and the price point isn't some outrageous price point, which ours usually are not, they're at the upper end of what the mass market will pay, but they're not like, well, I got to sell a kidney in order to buy this kind of thing pricing. This mitigates a lot of that issue. And the second thing is, and this is just proven, if you can get somebody on a phone, there's so many manipulative tactics that salespeople can use to get
Mm,
people to buy things that they later regret. Buyer's remorse is minimized much more if it's direct to cart. It's not impossible, but it's minimized more significantly. So you have to put a mechanism in if you're managing a sales team to counteract this, because sales guys, in general, no matter how much money they make, they will be broke by the end of the month. It's not a pay issue, right? It's a mentality issue. And the broker they get, the more desperate they become.
mm.
And so you have to always be policing them in these scenarios for most of the organizations that I work with. This is the tendency of those organizations. And I'm just like, meh, it's not something I want to personally take on. Now, other people, they're great at it and they love it and they're good at managing their team and keeping their team in check and firing and hiring at will because the turnover rate on these sales organizations is generally pretty high, right? And they make $50 million a year revenue top line. So it's like, it's not a bad trade-off. I think you build a business that serves you, you don't serve your business. And so for me personally, I like to stay in the lane of one-to-many selling, not using one-to-many to make it one-to-one at the end of the day. But your mileage may vary.
I appreciate chatting through that. I mean, the important thing to highlight is you're building the business around you, and what's your skill set energetically. What skills do you have, and how do you want to spend your time in your day, and build around that is your point. Let's talk about traffic, because if no one gets there, no one's buying anything. So what are your favorite traffic sources?
I mean, email used to be the best thing under the sun. It's still there for the brands that have cultivated an email relationship, and for certain demographics and certain opportunities, you can't beat email. It's trending downward these days. So if we want to future-proof ourselves, the two other media that we're seeing that work really well are social and paid. Um, they are difficult in different ways. They're not any more difficult than any traffic source has ever been. They're just a new kind of difficult.
Okay,
And
say
it's
more about that.
fascinating.
Like, what's new? Like about the difficulty level.
So, so here's what I say about social is there's never been a time where you can reach more people faster for free than right now. The joke is I just had dinner with 5 million people the other day because my wife and I, when we go out to dinner, we take our little DJI Osmosis 3. It's this cool little camera, $600, right? We put it on the table, and 10 minutes of our dinner conversation is on social. Like we record 10 minutes. She asks me these topics. I give my thoughts on those topics, my hot takes, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And then most of the dinner is spent doing what couples that are in love do, like enjoying each other's time. And then we go and we put that on there. So on March 28th, it's actually over 10 million people now that I've reached from a reel, essentially a short form piece of social content that was 16 seconds long and it contained 49 words. And what a beautiful time to be alive when you can reach that amount of people that fast. So the upside of scale and leverage on social is incredible, but the downside is you've got to get attention, and the fight for attention is greater than ever. So you got to test attention. It's not impossible, but a lot of it is just trial and error. And then the other thing is variance. Um, because we have a bunch of clippers, and so we publish our own content. We have clippers publish similar versions of the same content, and I can't tell you why. If we post it on my social feed, it gets 5,000 views, but if a clipper posted on theirs, it gets 500,000 views.
Really?
There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason to it. Some of this is slot machine. There is some influence, but there's also some things that are out of your control. And a lot of people have difficulty dealing with that variance. And the other issue here is shelf life. It doesn't matter how good it is, it dies very quickly. So how do we counteract that? We counteract that with quantity. We publish a lot, and we counteract that with consistency. We don't have to have any one piece do anything. We just know that if we put a lot of pieces out there in a lot of different environments and a lot of different makeups, then we can get that breakthrough and we can get that result. So I'm loving social personally, because I get the ability to touch somebody 11, 12, 15, 20 times before they even decide, hey, I want to know more about that guy. Let me look into him. Oh, he's got a webinar. Oh, it's on a subject I like. Let me attend that. So email in the past was like, I'm doing this webinar. Get your ass over there now.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
bunch of people would, and they would be high quality people, but they would be in the thousands. Now within the millions, we're sorting through the thousands, and instead
yeah.
of
Wow.
pushing them through a funnel, we're attracting them through branding in order to get there. So that's social. Ironically, ads are the same thing. Ads are a battle for attention and engagement more than anything else. If we don't get attention, we pay more for it.
Yeah.
And so the better we are able at getting attention, the less we have to pay for the advertising. And then if we can't engage them, we can't engage them if we don't get attention. So attention then allows us to solve for engagement, and then we can push them through and we can have them join the webinar. So advertising now is possible to reach a lot of people. The targeting is really good, but has the same issue. Like if we're going to get attention and engagement, we need something new and we need something fresh, and we have to account for variance. And we say, listen, I don't know why this thing doesn't perform even though it should, and I don't know why this thing performs even though it shouldn't. So we play a different game. We solve for a different answer than before. So whether you're doing ads or you're doing social, you are refreshing the creatives, as we say, constantly on an ongoing basis. So as a function of business, you have to plan for that, and you have to solve for that, and you have to go forward with that. So if you do it right, there's never been a more powerful time to do it than now. But if you don't do it right, it's never been harder than before to get attention.
Need to keep feeding the beast. And this is the flywheel that you're describing, the relationship between organic and paid. Here's what I'm fascinated by. So you and I are having this conversation however many weeks ago it was, in Vegas through a mutual contact. We're having it again today. But between then and now, I was having a conversation end of last week with another founder, multi nine-figure founder, right? 30 plus year brand. And he's like, all right, I'm going to get into personal branding. Gary V, he's had a private conversation with Gary V. He's like, he talked me into it. I see the light now.
Nice.
So why am I bringing this up now? Because there's big 9-figure players like yourself, like this player, and that's the trend. You guys are now moving towards personal branding now, where it's like, people don't need to know me. Like I can make my money. I don't need to have my face out there. But yet, what's finally you personally getting you to move into personal brand? I mean, obviously webinar and traffic, but there's got to be more plays for you.
Yeah, I came up on email. I came up when there was no social media. I came up when you couldn't buy advertising for what we do. Like Google wouldn't allow you to. They're like, no, we don't want that kind of money. Um, you know how it is, right? Nobody wants it until they need it, and then all of a sudden you become their best friend. So I have bias like any human being that has bias. So I have to use my brain to overcome the cognitive bias. Because I did things this way really well, I don't want to give up doing the thing that I did really well. This is called sunk cost.
Yep. Yep.
And I have personal bias. I hate social media with a
Mm,
capital H, right? I think that social media is destructive to most of the population
mm,
because you have a team of data scientists whose whole job it is to design something that makes you addicted to it, right?
mm-hmm.
How are you going to beat that? Like if you're the average person, that doesn't seem like a fair fight. And if you're a kid, and unfortunately there's a lot of kids on social media, it's not a fair fight. Like you are toasted. If your parents don't prevent you from accessing the crack cocaine, which is social media, you will overdose on it, and you will be in a bad position. So my personal feelings about social media were like, I hate this thing. I think it's a net negative overall for humanity. And it upsets me, and personally, it disrupts my productivity if I'm a consumer of social media. I've never felt really good after doing a binge doom scroll session on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah. I've never
Jason,
thought, damn, that was a good decision. Let me do that again, right?
Jason, you're glowing. Like, what's working for
Yeah,
you?
it's like
So
they're
my
like,
social
Jason,
media
how are
feed.
you in such a good mood? Well, it's really simple. I spent 150 minutes straight on TikTok, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Check my screen time,
yeah.
and you can too. Yeah, yeah.
So
So how?
my
What convinced
personal
you?
limitations stop me, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't like it, therefore I won't do it. Meanwhile, this is where all the people I could help, this is
Mm,
where they're drowning, and I
mm,
could be pulling them out before they die, right? So like
mm,
it took me far too long to come to the senses, plus I had a lot of success, and I could coast on that success until one day I realized that, hey, if I keep coasting, I'm going to coast right off a cliff.
mm,
So, it came down to it. And really, I had to pick between paid and social. You can do both, but generally, you have to get really good at one and then you add in the other. And I'm like, I don't like paid advertising uh, psychologically. I like social because the idea is I will be rewarded within some
mm,
sort of meritocracy.
mm.
Um, if I can provide value to my audience, I will be rewarded with it.
Their
And
sense
so
of
this puts
proof.
more of the focus on value and communication, which is exciting to me. Let me go first, as opposed to asking the user to go first, which I
Mm,
have to force if I'm paying money out of pocket, like directly. But if I can use ingenuity more, social just made more sense to me personally. And that's why I picked social, is because of that particular reason. I felt like this would be the best suited for me as an individual and as a personality. But if you're not on social or if you're not on paid advertising, um, you should be scared.
this is a personal question. I've wrestled with the noise and the production of it.
Yeah.
Again, all the excuses, all the blah blah blah, but you're somebody that has come to terms with that, and you're actively doing it. You've built the mechanics within your business, your daily, weekly process. How'd you like? Did
Yeah.
you talk to your wife and like, hey, just on occasionally on our date nights, we're gonna do this, or how did you like just very practically in your daily life?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't recommend most people do it the way that I do it. I think for most of you, social means you have a few thousand dedicated followers who are amongst that 7% who will spend 70% of the money.
Hmm.
Because this is the mistake that I made when I first got into social. I would teach all these esoteric techniques that I'm like, there's probably 1,000 people in the world that would be interested in this. And it did not dawn on me that the algorithm can't find them, isn't incentivized to find them. And even if they could find them, that person in that mindset at that time, sandwiching me between the other types of superficial content on there, isn't in a capacity to even receive it, right?
Yeah.
Um, as much as they would if I was doing it in another media. So I think for most people, what you do is you stay in that core audience. So there's this framework that Patty Galloway talks about. It's called core casual new. If you really want to win on social, you got to have content that hits all three of those spectrums. So new means they're not even in the market, so that way you can reach everybody. And casual means they are somewhat in the market, and then core means they would pay your bills for you, right? So you want to create content that programs to just the core audience for most people. You don't want to get into the new audience or the casual audience, and you will wallow in obscurity for thousands and thousands of views, but they will be from audiences where all of them have the propensity to pay you, and you can create content specifically for them and become the category king to them in short order, make a lot of money, and not have to deal with all the noise, all the riffraff, all the
Mm,
pressure, all the production, all the coordination, all the organization, and all that craziness, right? Um, that's where most people should play. I'm playing a different game because I don't want to do something unless I can be at an elite level and
mm.
be one of, if not the greatest at it. Like it's just the way that I'm wired.
Wired. Yeah.
So I'm playing the game where we are going to be the next major media company, and we're solving for what social media needs that isn't invented yet. Because if you look at breakthroughs, it's all something that the market couldn't see ahead of time. The Henry Ford saying that if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right?
Right.
So like the horse is what's working now on social media, and I'm trying to invent the car and what will work. And that's just my calling. And some people will want to go down a similar calling on that. But I think for most people, you use social to find that market within that market within that market because they're all on social. Everybody basically is. And then you just cater to them, and they will pay you now at a disproportionate rate because instead of having to force them through a funnel only as an option, not to say we shouldn't use funnels because we should, we can now have that branding effect. That person can say, I've consumed 27 pieces of content from you. Now I want to pay you money. Whereas before it'd be like they consume one piece of content and then we put them through a well-coordinated sales process in order to get them to accelerate the idea that they should pay us money. They should always pay us money, but now they're coming to us with the idea more than us imposing the idea onto them and getting them to agree that it's a good idea. We can be even more value-centric than we were before. So that's my first thing that I would say to that. And I am very fortunate that I have a woman who believes in me more than I believe in myself.
Mm,
And she sees my potential. And so when I make a move on something, she supports me with all of her heart and effort.
mm,
So it's like, okay, if this is part of what we need to do, this is part of what we need to do. And even when I don't want to do it, she will then push me to do it.
mm.
And this is like, whether it's your wife or whether it's your best friend or whether it's a support group that you can be a part of, like this is such a leverage when you go out there and you push for social specifically. Because a lot of the issues with social are these soft emotional cost more than anything. Like, what are people going to say about me when I'm publishing content out there? What will they think about me? What if it's cringeworthy? I have a couple billionaires that I know that stop a personal brand for the same reason that a 16-year-old girl is conscious about what to wear at school for her friend group, right? These are not things that are unique to only some people. These are issues that all people generally deal with, except for psychopaths. So if you don't have these issues, I'd be more concerned than if you do have these issues, right? uh,
That's fair.
so it's like, but you bite the frog and you eat it. Like first thing in the morning, you do the one simple thing that will move you one step closer. The journey of 1,000 miles starts at step number one. So you break down the social and you start there. And that's where I started. I just started saying, I just want to be of service. I just want to be of use. Let me just publish on a regular basis. I know it will suck. I know I don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm feeling in the dark for the light switch. But eventually, even if by accident, if not on purpose, I'm going to uncover it. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to flip it on. But I would suggest heavily for everyone, you should do social for no other reason than it will make you better at advertising. So you get a coupon on your ads if you're testing concepts on social first before you publish them on your advertising.
Mm. Well, more and more I'm hearing just the like there's less and less of a separation between organic and paid. The best paid
Makes
is
sense.
the best organic. And so
Yep.
because you're conditioning that muscle that you're describing. So this is a trend that I think is anyone that cares should really pay attention to as you're advising. What platforms? What platforms are you focused on?
Well, me personally, YouTube is my sweetheart. It's the one I want to win at the most, and I know long term it's going to be the one that is going to pay me the best and have the biggest impact. But I didn't start there. Just like the first day in karate, you don't fight the black belt, right? You
Yeah.
fight that 7-year-old kid in the corner who's at about your skill level. So I started on Instagram Reels specifically because they tend to get more pickup.
Mm,
TikTok is harder to get views on for whatever reason for any commercial sort of content. So it's like, even though TikTok is a bigger platform for short form, we don't do it because Instagram seems to get more views for commercial style content or educational sort of content. And
Mm.
so I like Instagram because we get enough views to get the data signals and get the feedback.
Okay.
And it allows us to simulate what we need to do on all social anyway, which is you need to hook, you need to engage, you need to figure out what content to publish on a regular basis. You need to develop a system for it. And so what we're doing in short form can be as copy and pasted as possible to long form. It's not a one-to-one. They're very different, short form and long form as a media. So, I mean, I doubled down on short form until we got some traction. We've gotten over on our platforms that we control. So Jason Fladlien on Instagram and at Jason Fladlien on Facebook. We just did the numbers today. We had 10 million views in the last 30 days. Views aren't everything. We can get into that here in a second. And then the Clippers. So we also have 5 Clippers who publish on like Extra Jason Fladlien Motivation, those kind of handles. They
Okay.
got 12 million views in the last 30 days because we're running into a constraint with shorts where there's a diminishing return if you publish more than 3 reels a day, essentially.
Yeah.
So how do you get past that?
And
You
that's
just
IG
create
specifically, or
channels.
also YouTube?
Uh, we find this with almost all short form platforms
Okay.
is you do not get an additional benefit by posting after a certain period of time. It's 3 or it's 4, it's somewhere around there,
Yeah.
right? But we are now publishing on 5 different channels on all social. I didn't start there, by the way. I just started on Instagram because the level of complexity to post even the same short form content on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook, it adds a lot of complexity. So we just used to only post on Instagram, and then we connected it to Facebook because you can automatically post it there. But now we're posting on 4 platforms under 6 accounts. Each one gets, on average, 3 to 4 pieces of content a day. So we're publishing about 20 pieces of content a day on Shorts. And now that that system is finally running and we're seeing some results, 22 million views in 30 days, now I'm making a majority of my conscious time being focused on YouTube, and I'm sucking at it for now, to where I'd like to be, but actually it's not too bad because it's like I'm just going to look at some statistics. Like
Yeah.
this is short and long form, but like in the last 30 days, I think we had about 1 million views, no, 209,000 views in the last 7 days.
Nice.
Um, Now that is across all shorts and longs. And then to me, the most popular metric over there is the long form content. I published a video a day ago that got 1,500 views. I published one 8 days ago that got 2.3 thousand views, and one after that that got 2 weeks. This is the kind of content that is similar to what I was talking about earlier. This is the content that is heavily educational, that is not made for, fast consumption on social. So it's not getting the views yet, but it is getting the highest quality of viewer because a 20-minute YouTube video is the equivalent of somebody watching 40, 30-second reels.
Totally.
So I'm happy at that, but I'm back at the beginner state on YouTube. But pretty soon we're going to master short and we're going to master long. But that's the play that we're making. And what's cool, even if it's not a one-to-one to ads, the more that I have people watching my stuff, that's an audience I can target with ads too. So you're
Mhm.
creating an asset with that.
Amazing. You've built an incredible skill over basically 2 decades or more. Uh, Direct to cart, closing people with a pitch in a webinar. It's a form of content. Lastly, here on the personal branding content and social side, how is that skill compared to publishing and creating on social?
Completely different. It's like a lightning versus lightning bug, right? They both have the word lightning in it, but there's a drastic difference between lightning and a lightning bug.
Yeah.
You're like, You're like, a hook on a webinar should be similar to a hook on social. It's not even
Apples and oranges.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like apples and aliens. It doesn't even compute. It's insane to me how different these two skills are. And so, like, the depth of education that I go on a webinar is diametrically opposed to the superficiality I have to swim in on social.
Mm.
And it's difficult to deal with these things. So there's this concept, because again, use brain, right? Like I always think of of what are the things that I can use as thinking tools and mental models to help and serve me. And there's this concept of cognitive flexibility. And wisdom is the ability to hold two contradictory thoughts in your head at the same time. And this is what we're doing on an ongoing basis. It's like the very content that works well on webinars doesn't work at all on social. How do we do both of those and build a bridge between the two of them? And this to me is fascinating. The one limitation that we no longer have is in the production of content itself, because AI does significantly help in that area. So now it's more about being creative. The constraint is more on creativity. It's
Hmm.
less on content, because if I'm creative enough, I can then have the AI get me 80% of the way there on a content basis. But I have to know the formats now that make the most amount of difference. And they're different. They're very different on formats on social than they are on webinars. And even the same people, how you engage with them is very different on social than it is on webinars. An oversimplification of this is like how you would interact with your now wife when you first met her and
Hmm.
took her on that first date is very different than how you interact with them now. It's same person, same people, but the engagement and the interaction is different. And if you're not good at every one of those phases, then you might get the date, but you won't get the marriage, right? And if you stay dating somebody when you after you've married them and acting like it's still a first date, then the marriage isn't going to last either. So you have to understand how to interact with your same prospects in a variety of different contexts, and that is going to be super valuable. And you can spend more time mastering that because you have to now spend less time on content.
For the people that want to follow you on this journey that you're laying out, where's the best place to find you?
We go Instagram, we go YouTube if you want to follow me on social. And if you really want to master the game of webinars, you buy my book, One to Many, which is on Amazon.
There we go. Jason, I appreciate you spending the time with our audience, and you truly have a heart of service. You have a skill for
Oh, thank you.
teaching, and I know this about you. This is why multiple of our mutual friends have sought after you over many years. So, is there any last words of encouragement that you know, for the founders, business owners, creators out there that are watching you right now? They're moving forward. They want to win for not just themselves but their families, those around them. Any words of encouragement you'd share with them?
Yeah, it's not any harder than it's ever been. It's just a different kind of hard. So it used to be very hard for us to even build webinar slides because like there wasn't stock photos that we could put in there, and it was very limited what you could do on the technology. So we'd spend all damn day just to make a slide look barely presentable. And nowadays you can put slides together blinking an eye in Canva, and not you. You can hire somebody from Kosovo to do it for you for $3 an hour, right? So it's like what used to be hard isn't hard anymore, but there's a new hard that's filled its place. And so, the things that we talked about on social today are hard, but they're not harder than anything that you've ever had to do in business. It's just a different kind of hard. And the changes in webinars are not any harder than what they used to be. It's just a different kind of hard. And so we know it's going to be hard, but we know we're capable of solving this difficulty, but we have to solve it with new arithmetic. We have to solve it with new formulas. And if you can solve it, I will tell you, you see it everywhere. People are going from 0 to 1 billion now faster than they used to go from 0 to 1 million. So the upside and the reward for solving difficulty that's at the same level of difficulty that it's always been, just different difficulty, the upside of solving that difficulty is greater than it's ever been. And the penalty for not solving it is more vicious than it's ever been. So I know you can do it, and I'll root for you and I'll cheer for you. And if I can, I'll help you. I'll be very happy to.
The stakes are higher. I appreciate you, Jason.
I appreciate you too.
Hey guys, and appreciate you spending your time with us, getting to meet more real entrepreneurs, getting real results. Jason shared with us a ton of things about AI, about webinars, about brand and social price points. He did a great job today and has clearly produced a ton. And we believe you can too. Entrepreneurship can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. And this is the place where we get to have these type of conversations. So for all this and more, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.